You've set a goal. You're pumped. You start strong. But after a couple of weeks in, you are back to old habits. Does this sound familiar? Here's the thing. It is not your fault. At least not entirely. Today, I'm going to reveal the real reason professionals like you struggle with discipline, and it's not what you think. By the end of this episode, you will know exactly how to stop failing at your discipline levels and how to stick with your goals. In case we haven't met before, my name is Payden. I work as an NLP life coach. And on this podcast, I share my insights on how you can work on your life goals without falling off track with them and enjoy working on your goals. If this resonates with you, be sure to hit that follow button so you don't miss out on weekly episodes. And with that, let's jump into this one. So most people think that discipline is about willpower. If I just try harder, I'll stick with my goals. But neuroscience says otherwise. Studies show that willpower is a limited resource. It's like a muscle that tires out. Researchers at Stanford University have found that decision fatigue, exhaustion from making too many choices, drains your self-control up by 50% by the end of the day. That's why you may crave to Netflix or junk food at night because your brain is literally depleted. Even worse, a University of London study proved that multitasking, like checking emails while working, drops your IQ temporarily as much as losing a night's sleep. So if you're relying on sheer willpower to stay disciplined, you're fighting biology, and I hate to say it, but you will lose. In my experience, relying on willpower to achieve your goals only sets you up for frustration and disappointments. If you'd like to ditch willpower and instead get strategic with your life goals, you will love my Strategy for Consistency program, which is a one-on-one coaching program. You may check that out. The link to that is mentioned below in the description. You may be wondering why willpower fails. I'm sure you've had examples in your life where you swore that you would start exercising or waking up early, only to find that the more you try and apply willpower, harder it is to create a new habit. Here's the shocking truth why this happens. This is because your environment may be sabotaging you. Harvard behavior scientist Dr. B.J. Fogg proved that habits are not about motivation. They're about these triggers in your surroundings. For example, if your phone is next to your bed, you are bound to check social media first thing in the morning. If junk food is in your pantry, I bet you're going to eat it. Your brain defaults to the path of least resistance. Everything that's around you acts as a trigger for your behavior. There was this interesting study at Google's cafeteria that found that simply by placing healthy snacks at eye level increased their sales by 50%. No willpower needed, just smarter design. So if you're failing at discipline, ask yourself, is my environment set up for success or failure? Okay, so how do we fix this? There's something called as the 2-minute rule, a strategy backed by neuroscience, researched from the University of California, showing that starting a task may be the hardest part. Once you begin, your brain's action bias kicks in, making it easier to continue. So instead of saying, I'm going to work out in an hour, say, I'll put on my running shoes. Instead of saying, I have to write a report, say, I'm going to open my laptop. This works because of something called as the Zeigarnik effect. It's a psychological phenomenon where unfinished tasks create mental tension, pushing you to complete them. And 80% of the time, you'll keep going and continuing with whatever action you're taking. Now, you may think, I'll just tell my friends about my goals. But science says that's often not useful. Psychologists have found that publicly announcing goals gives you a premature sense of accomplishment, releasing dopamine as if you've already succeeded. This actually reduces your motivation to follow through on what you said you're going to do. Instead, use implementation intentions. A study in the British Journal of Health Psychology proved that people who wrote down when and where they'd exercise, let's say I'll run at 7 a.m. in the park, were 2 to 3 times more likely to stick with that habit. Specificity always beats accountability every single time. This concept was also mentioned in the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Finally, let's talk about the word should. I should work out. I should do that report. I should eat healthy. The moment you say should, your brain is going to rebel. Stanford research shows that language shapes behavior. Framing tasks as I choose to or I get to, it activates the prefrontal cortex of our brains, the part of your brain responsible for discipline. So instead of saying I have to or I should do something, try saying I choose to work on my goal because it brings me peace, it brings me fulfillment. Feel the difference? Try it out. Discipline isn't about willpower. It's about designing your environment, being specific, and reframing your language. If you do just these things, you're going to outperform your old negative pattern of not being able to stick with your goals. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of the things will you try out first? Comment below and let me know. I would love to hear from you. If you'd like to work on your life goals without relying on willpower and get disciplined with your life goals, you'll love my one-on-one coaching program called Strategy for Consistency program. If you'd like the details for that, be sure to click the link in the description box below. And if this episode helped, hit like and subscribe on YouTube and follow wherever you're listening to this podcast. Till next week, remember, you matter, your goals matter, and it's really up to you to make them happen. Take good care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.